Everybody, Robert Dunt, founder of ArtTop10.com, and here I am at Amalgamation with curator Alex Hinks, and I'm now about to be interviewed about my own work. So this is my first piece. So Alex, ask me something harsh.
Well, first of all, brilliant to have you on the show.
Oh, cheers, dude. Thank you very much. Very nice, very nice.
Pieces.
Thank you.
So yeah, tell us about this piece.
Yeah, well, I've probably bored you with it before, but I'm obsessed by the Jesus and Mary Chain. Mm-hmm. Do you know the band, the Jesus and Mary Chain? From like 1985, they did these.
I was born in that year, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. so they made these really pretty songs, like sort of 3-chord Beach Boys pop songs, and then they covered them with noise, distortion, and feedback and chaos. Wow. So in these paintings, I'm trying to do a similar kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So the backgrounds are kind of just like pretty simple cubist sort of things with like a straightforward red and green and a yellow. Yep. But then on top of that, I've got these black and white shapes, and these are what I call my distortion forms. They're like meant to be, you know, distorting, damaging reality, but in the way they're really meant to be making something more beautiful at the end of the day.
This is a very vibrant palette, sort of.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then these distortion forms are contrasting to that with sort of the monochromatic sort of.
Exactly. I mean, it's quite interesting, like your pictures with the curves, kind of contrasting against the swirling background. In here, I've always wanted these sort of distortion forms to contrast against.
Like you've got sort of the other ones, it's a kind of like a set circle to an extent, when these are much sort of fluid sort of forms.
Yeah, no, they are. They're more fluid. In a way, it's like they're almost like merge into themselves. I mean, I guess I'm kind of thinking of them as like layered music. So the background, you could almost see like a drum beat.
Or
like a bass guitar.
Yin and yang.
Oh yeah, yin and yang. Yeah, yin. That's quite nice actually. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. Floating on top of it. Yeah. That's quite freaky. Because the backgrounds I've always, like in this one, it's got a kind of cubist, kind of broken picture plane sense to it. And then I just wanted to take that niceness and destroy it further.
You also sort of have the centre point is white. And so there's a connection there between the sort of foreground and background.
Yeah, you're right, actually. That's really cool.
Considering the rest of it is so rich.
It's so rich, yeah. Oh, that's interesting, because the other thing was, like you mentioned, there's a sort of high-key colour palette. I did always want to make these pretty paintings, like sort of Matisse or Monet or any of those, or Jackson Pollock, something that's bright and exciting, but you can't just recreate what they did. It'd just be far too boring, wouldn't it? So
it does happen, though, sort of, I saw a picture of a spot painting that was made in sort of the 1950s. Well before, maybe the sort of the year that sort of Damien Hirst was born.
And that was, it is interesting how these things come back round. And then one of the other things I was trying to do on this is I always like the quality of the paint. So the black, I tried to leave the black so you can see the brush strokes within it. And then with the red and the yellow, I tried to leave them sort of slightly transparent so you'd get the colours of the paints coming underneath. So I've always been quite keen to try and I do like the materiality of the paint, basically.
Sort of all painters are sort of this connection with the material.
Exactly. Yeah, no, we do very much. And then the piece downstairs is like a slightly more recent piece, but it's sort of.
I can see a connection.
There's a connection to it. Yeah, let's head down and I'll explain that. Yeah. So Alex, as I was saying, so this has kind of got quite a lot of elements of the one up there, but. When I was talking about like the music and being inspired by music, I've always wanted to also get that kind of sense of layering in the painting, not pure music, but visual. And I really like the idea of using the material because it doesn't translate so easily in your mind into music. It almost forces to remain as a visual experience, even though it's still repetitive, so you've still almost got like a ding, ding, ding drum beat, but it's like...
So then maybe that's the vocals or something.
Yeah, exactly, it's the vocals or something weird going on. And then, so the material is actually the kind of thing you would make like a shalwar kameez or Pakistani or Indian clothes out of. Lovely fabrics, exactly. Beautiful fabrics. So I got my mother-in-law to take me down to Green Lane in Birmingham, where we chose this, well, she chose these materials for me. And we sort of tried to find nice ones that would work well. And as I was telling you, I'm off to Pakistan in 2 days, so I thought I'd put my little outfit on for the film to blend in. Not that I blend in anywhere, but yeah, I thought I'd have it to go with the background. And then on top of that, what I wanted to do was you go to the Affordable Art Fair and you see all these, maybe it's an unfair thing to say, but slightly cheesy pictures of like Marilyn Monroe or Audrey Hepburn. And I wanted to take that, but do one that was just so non-commercial, that
rough and ready.
So this is actually Marilyn Monroe spray painted on here, and that's actually Audrey Hepburn spray painted on through stencils, but it's basically
classic pop figures.
Classic pop figures, and basically completely obliterated. So you can't really exactly, exactly. So they're fully obliterated, and then it was actually almost by accident that I ended up using the black and white, which is the same, of course, as the distortion forms. I didn't actually plan on it. I was going to use
here, as you always have the white on the top, so it makes the black into a shadow.
Exactly. That's what I wanted.
So then it's adding sort of a push and pull between foreground, background too. So you're generating space between sort of these figures and sort of.
That's what I was really going for. That sort of generation of space.
It's quite nice seeing the fabric on the side of unpainted.
Exactly. It is. The side is really nice because you've got a much cleaner fabric thing. But I did because I quite like when you put the spray paint on. I kind of work to get these accidental bits where some of it looks more archaic and broken down, and some of it looks crisper. So you've got a kind of, so it's printed, but it's kind of printed and spray painted, and yet it's got a sort of fragility or sort of element of.
It's a contrast, and so they're both very different forms. But also you've had to do some maths with this one too, maybe, or you were a keen eye to get your spacing right.
Yes, I did have to do the maths, but I was carefully just trying to, because I've got a little stencil on it for the dots, and I had to keep, like you say, I had to plan it out.
I'm sure the thickness of the paint on the stencil made the stencil probably evolve as you went on, possibly.
Absolutely, it does. The stencil evolves, and you get more chaos and more excitement. But as you say, that's because the one thing I was really into with doing this and some of the other things is that I've wanted to get much more experimental in doing the work, because I've realised that's what keeps me excited. If I'm doing something that could be an utter disaster at any point, and that's like when I was talking about yours. What I think is really interesting is you've got a constant amount of chaos and experimentation in it. And I think, if you've watched the Frieze video I did going around Frieze London recently, I was interested in how many of the works there don't feel freshly experimental, like the, so just a bit of camera chaos there. But before that, we were just saying that I'm really into trying to do these more experimental things. I love the way yours are experimental, and there's a lot of chaos in it. And the video I did about Frieze London just a couple of weeks ago, I was looking for experimental work there, and I found most of it to be quite. It didn't feel it was fresh out of a studio. And you were just going to say.
When I with these sort of blue chip artists, they produce this sort of object that's for sale, and sort of a lot of sort of these artists' works is just purely to mass produce something which sort of the select few that can afford it can buy it. And
you see, that's exactly what. So I went around looking for experimental things. I began to feel it was controlled, mass-produced items. Which is not what you really want.
No, when with art, when it's meant to be something.
When it's meant to be something chaos. And then the interesting thing was, I went to Frieze Masters and saw a Picasso, and I'm always obsessed that Picasso's, you always look as if his brain has literally finished thinking as he finishes the picture, and you can still see it working. And then in a lot of artwork, you can't quite see the artist's mind still working. It's like they're not really concentrating.
Or they didn't even produce it themselves.
Or they didn't even produce it themselves. Anyway, Alex, thanks so much for chatting to me about it. It's really cool. Great. Cheers, man.
Bomb buckler.